Commission.
Hi, my name is Julie Miller, Chairperson for the Social Media Committee for the Building Schools for Our Children, Our Future Bond 2020 campaign. Our hope is to provide factual information relative to trends we've seen on social media. For this informational video, we have Dr. Vermont Roberts, Superintendent of Saginaw Public School District. Dr. Roberts, thank you for being here tonight. First things first, some taxpayers are confused about the Bond 2020 and the previous bonds passed. Can you explain how these bonds are different?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me this evening and giving me an opportunity to clarify some of the questions that our community and our voters may have about the bond, as they are legitimate. So I'll start with bond 2004. There was a bond passed in 2004 for Saginaw Public School District and their voters. That bond taxpayers are currently paying on. It is scheduled to come off of the books in approximately 15 years. But the goals of that bond were reached. And so you have projects like Thompson Middle School that was completed, Jesse Loomis Elementary School. You had several projects throughout the district, small projects in several buildings. You had the auditorium at SASA, the gymnasium at SASA that was built with that bond, and again, some other projects throughout the district. But yes, that bond was passed in 2004.
Okay. And many of the residents are under the impression that the buildings associated with Bond 2004 are vacant and unused. Is that true?
Not true. There is one facility that we are currently not using where funds from the bond was used to invest. That is Houghton Elementary, due to a lot of external factors. One of them, the most important, being population decline. There are just not enough students in that area for us to put students in that facility. And so the decision was made to close the doors of Houghton. Other than that, all of the other bond dollars were invested in facilities that we are currently utilizing. And all of the bond investment from 2004 will continue through this bond. So for example, we plan to demolish Saginaw Arts and Sciences Academy. However, the auditorium and gymnasium will remain because those are facilities that the bond dollars funded.
Okay, thank you. Speaking of the buildings, Thompson Middle School, will that remain open or will that close once a new middle school is built?
No, Thompson will remain open. The plan is to have a middle school that services the west side of the city, which will be Thompson. And obviously one of the projects we're proposing in the bond is to remodel Saginaw High School into a middle school for the east side of the city. So we will have two middle schools in the district, one that services the east side of the city and one that services the west side of the city. We will plan to pull our sixth grade students out of our elementary division, which they currently are, and put them back in the middle school configuration, which they are supposed to be. We will also reconfigure Zilwaukee into a K-5 facility. And from there, we should meet our projected enrollments at both facilities.
Okay, so does that mean that Thompson is fully enrolled right now? Because many community members believe that Thompson's not fully enrolled and that there probably isn't a need for two middle schools.
So the answer to that is yes, but let me clarify that. Thompson is currently a 7-8 building. So all of our 7th and 8th graders in the district attend Thompson Middle School, so it is fully enrolled. But what voters need to understand is that middle schools are generally 6, 7, 8 buildings or 7, 8, 9 buildings. There are generally 3 grade configurations in a middle school. And so that's why we plan to bring our 6th graders back to our middle school configurations. And in fact, it will be fully enrolled as well.
Okay, thank you. Some homeowners are worried about the financial impact this bond will have. Can you tell us the approximate cost of the bond for homeowners?
Yeah, that's a legitimate question for our taxpayers. And so the average home in the city of Saginaw is approximately $67,000. What that equates to per month in terms of a tax increase is a little under $20 a month. We're talking about $19.60 for the average homeowner. If you get up in the $100,000 range in terms of a market value for your home, you're looking at about $30 a month. If you're around $30,000, In terms of market value, you're looking at about $8 per month. And so it's understandable in terms of anyone looking at what they would have to pay in a tax increase as it relates to the bond. However, it ranges anywhere from probably $5 a month to about $30 a month. And for what we're asking for in terms of the facilities that we will bring to our area, leveling the playing field in terms of programming, stabilizing our enrollment, attracting families and businesses to this area. The cost of that, I think the outcomes outweigh the cost. And so our taxpayer impact chart is online on our website. We sent out a mailer earlier with that information on it, a trifold that has that information. If individuals are curious, we have a taxpayer calculator that's on our website. They can go right on the website, put in their market value of their home, and it'll tell them how much they can expect in terms of a tax increase.
Okay, thank you. The next question is all about the timing of putting Bond 2020 on the ballot. During a pandemic, and while students are not even in the physical buildings, why now?
Great question. So we, and when I say we, myself, the board, we pondered this question for a while, particularly back in March when the pandemic hit. If you're not aware, we had passed the strategic plan in February with plans to pursue a bond after the strategic plan had been approved by the board. After we began doing our research in terms of researching other school districts around this state that had put bonds on the ballot anywhere from May to August, when we began talking with architectural firms and construction management firms around this state that do this work quite frequently, we found that individuals still were supporting bonds. All of the bonds that have been placed on ballots around this state, 100% of them passed in May as well as August. And so we still talked about our ability to market, but a lot of the marketing is already done virtually via social media, other mediums such as phone calling, radio, television, where you don't have to market face to face. And so we felt it was still important to move forward with this bond. And one of the most important aspects of our decision making was the November election. We felt that this was a prime opportunity because of the number of voters that we felt were going to be going to the polls for us to get support for this if we marketed and educated appropriately. And quite frankly, our students don't have any more time. We wasted enough time in terms of trying to get this done for our students. And so that was the one that brought it across the finish line.
Okay. So our last question tonight is, what happens, truthfully, to Saginaw Public School District if this bond doesn't pass?
Yeah, the reality is we'll have to do get some feedback from our community and our voters in terms of why they felt they couldn't support this, make some adjustments, and place it on a future ballot. Because where we stand now, this is so essential to the sustainability of our school district. As a school district goes, so goes the community. And so the question that we have to ask is just that. What happens to our school district if this doesn't pass us? What does our school district look like in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years, when we have already put our students behind in terms of facilities, in terms of programming, both extracurricular and academic? We have to be honest about it and pragmatic about it and look ourselves in the faces as adults and say, are we going to give our kids a fighting chance to be competitive when they leave the Saginaw area? So we have no choice at this point. It will go on a future ballot.
Okay. Thank you very much.